They Live was a movie I made towards the end of the 80s, and I was reflecting on a lot of the values that I saw around me at the time, mainly inspired by Ronald Reagan's conservative revolution. There was a great deal of obsession with greed and making a lot of money, and some of the values that I grew up with had been pushed aside. So I decided to scream out in the middle of the night and make a statement about that. And They Live is partially a political statement, it's partially a tract on the world that we live in today. And as a matter of fact, right now, it's even more true than it was then. We are manipulated by a lot of media around us. We are consumed by consumerism. And as you can see, the recent events in this country, they are still among us. They do live, indeed. The 80s never ended. The Reagan Revolution never ended. Although there is now a pull towards the left. I admit that. The right is, in this country, the right is confused and lost. But they may win. They may win, and what they want to do is beyond Reagan. You know, they've moved so far to the right. And it's really unrestrained capitalism that I'm criticizing. I'm a capitalist. I love capitalism. I love making money. But unrestrained capitalism leads to depressions. It leads to the recession that we had. So the 80s never ended. They're still here. They're still on Earth exploiting us.
We just need the glasses.
No, we do. We do. More than ever. It seemed to me that They Live needed a kind of working guy, non-middle class, blue-collar guy who's a working poor, who were real and are still real in this country. So I thought he had a quality about him. Not the personality that you see in the wrestling ring or in his interviews, not that over-the-top guy, but a different fella. But a little rough-hewn, you know. And it was terrific. He did a great job for me.
And did he really come up with the line himself, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum?
When we started working on the film together, he gave me several sheets of paper, and he said, these are things that I have said that I've made up for my wrestling interviews. They're lines that I've used. If I'm going to do an interview about some wrestler I'm going to meet on Saturday night, I'll say these lines. And some of them were not what I needed for the film, but that one, particular one, I thought, well, that's pretty great. You know, we can use this. It's way out of context here in a way, but it's fun. It's his, so he wrote it.
Do you think the film has still some relevant social commentary?
Oh, that's never ended. That's still with us. They Live is a documentary about what's going on now. Relevance, of course, yeah. It's still here. Here's my philosophy on it. I'll just tell you. I think Ronald Reagan, along with your gal there, Iron Lady Thatcher, came into power by saying government was a problem. That's an absolute lie. Good government is a solution. Bad government is a problem. Not government. That's all it is.
Basically, what our spin on the story was that all the aliens are members of the upper class, the rich, and they're slowly exploiting the middle class, and everybody's becoming poorer. And everything we think about buying cars and having pools and condos and all the things that everybody strives for in America basically are created by this race of inhuman creatures that really just want to exploit us like a third world. And it's told from the point of view of the homeless. So it has a kind of a theme and a message to it, but basically it's an action film. I kind of like that feel of somebody who's not so hip and rich and doesn't just cruise through every situation but has to struggle. It reminds me of most of us.
Excuse me. You need anybody? I've got more tools.
Roddy Piper plays John Nada, and he's the hero of the film. The character that Roddy plays is closer to Roddy than one would think. Holly Thompson is a character in They Live who's basically a middle-class working woman who gets hooked into this entire thing.